The selfish giant. Every afternoon, as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the giant's garden. It was a large, lovely garden with some green grass. Here and there, over the grass, stood beautiful flowers like stars. And there were 12 peach trees that springtime brought out into delicate blossom of pink and pearl, and the autumn brought a rich fruit. The birds sat on the trees and sang so sweetly that the children used to stop their games in order to listen to them. How happy we are here! They cried to each other. One day the giant came back. He had been to visit his friend the Cornish ogre and had stayed with him for 7 years. 7 years. After the 7 years were over, he had said all that he had to say, for this conversation was limited, limited, and determined to return to his own castle. When he arrived, he said the children playing in the garden. What are you doing here? He cried in very gruff voice, and the children ran away. My own garden is my own garden, said the giant. Any, anyone can understand that, and it will allow nobody to play in it but in above myself. So he built a high wall all around it. I put were notice above. Trespasser will be prosecuted. He has he was a very selfish giant. The poor children had nowhere to play. They tried to play on the road, but the road was very dusty and full of hard stones, and they did not like it. They used to wander around the high wall when their lesson were over and tell about the beautiful garden inside. How happy we were there, they said to each other. Then the spring came, and all over the country there were little blossoms and ladybirds. Only in the garden of the selfish giant it was still winter. The birds did not care to see him, as there were no children, and the trees forgot to blossom. Once a beautiful flower put its head up from the grass, but when I saw it sat the notice board, he was so sorry for the children that he slipped back into the ground again and went out to sleep. The only people who were pleased were the snow and the frost. Spring has forgotten this garden, they cried, so we will lie here all the year round. The snow covered the cover of the grass with her white cloth, and the frost painted all the trees silver. Then they invited to the north wind to stay with them, and he came. He was wrapped in furs and roared a day above the garden, and blew the chimney pots down. This is the delightful spot, he said. We moved as the hail on the beach. So the hail came. Every day for 3 hours he rode on the roof of the castle till he broke most of the slates, and then he ran round and round the garden. He ran round and round the garden as fast as he could go. He was dressed in grey, and his breath was like ice. I cannot understand why the spring is so late in coming, sighed the selfish giant as sat at the window and looked at this cool white garden. I hope there will be change in the weather. But the spring never came, nor the summer, the autumn got golden. Fruit to every garden, but the James garden she was no. He, he is too selfish. She said he was always going to that. And the north wind, and the hail, and the frost, and the snow dance about through trees. One morning the young god was lying awake in bed when he heard some lovely music. In the sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. It was really, it was really only little Nina singing outside his window. But it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden that it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world. Then the hail stopped dancing over his head, and the north wind ceased roaring, and a delicious perfume came to him through the open casement. I believe the spring has come at last, said the giant, and he jumped out of bed and looked up. What did he see? He saw a most wonderful sight. Through a little hole in the wall the children had crept in, and they were sitting in the branches on the trees of the trees. In every tree he could see there was a little chill, and the trees here were so glad to have the children back again that they had covered themselves with blossom and hair and were waving their arms gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying above and twittering with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and lovely. It was lovely sun, only in one corner it was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, on the garden, and here was standing a little boy. He was so small that he could to reach the result to branches of the tree, and he was wandering around it, crying bitterly. The poor tree was still covered by frost and snow, and the north wind was blowing and roaring above it. Clean out, lady boy, sighed the tree, and it bent its branches down as low as it could. But the boy was too timid, and the giant's heart melted as he looked up. How selfish I had been, he said. Now I know why the spring will not come here. I will put that the poor little boy under the tree, and then it will knock down the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever. He got really very sorry for what he had done. So he crept downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw him, they were so frightened that they all ran away, and the garden became winter again. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were so full of tears that he did not see the giant coming. And the giant stole out behind him to him gently in his hand, and pulled him out into the tree. And the tree brought at once into blossom, and the birds came and sang on it, and the little boy stretched out his two arms and flung them round the giant's neck, and kissed him. And the other children, when they saw the lad that the giant was not wicked any longer, came running back, and with them came the spring. Is your garden now, little children? Sighed the giant. Sang the giant ahead, and he took a great axe and knocked down the wall. And when the people were going to market at 12 o'clock, they found the giant playing with the children in the most beautiful garden they had ever seen. All day long they played, and in the evening they came to giant to bid him goodbye. But what is your little companion? He said, the boy he put into the tree. The giant loved him the best because he had kissed him. We don't know, answered the children. He has gone away. You must tell him to be sure and come here tomorrow, sighed the giant. But the children said that they know where he lay, and had never seen him before, and the giant felt very sad. Every afternoon, when school was over, the children came and played with the giant, but the little boy gone. The giant lord was never seen again. The giant was very keen to all the children, yet he longed for this fierce little friend and often spoke of him. How I would like to see him, he used to say. Years went over, and the giant grew very old and feeble. He could not play about anymore. So he sat in a hook and chain, and watched the children at their games, and admired his garden. I had many beautiful flowers, he said, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all. One winter morning he looked out his window as he was dressing. He did not hate the winter now, for the knew that it was merely the spring asleep, and that the flowers were resting. Suddenly he rubbed his eyes in wonder, and looked. It certainly was a marvelous sight. In the farthest corner of the garden was a tree covered by lovely wild blossom. Its branches were a golden and silver fruit hung down from them, and underneath it stood the little boy he had loved. Downstairs ran the giant in great joy, and out into the garden he hasted across the grass, and came near to the child, and when he closed his fat red, white anger, and he said, Who has dared to one tree? No, to one death? For on the palms of the child's hands were the prints of two knives, and the prints of two knives her own little feet. Who had dared to one death? Cried the giant. Tell me, did I tie my by a sword and slice him? Nay, answered the child, but these are the ones of love. What thou? Sighed the giant, and strained a wet fell on him, and he knelt before the little child. And the child smiled on the giant and said to him, You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise. And when the children ran in the afternoon, they found the giant lying there under the tree, all covered with white blossoms.